Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Mystara did have an aquatic phase, in the same vein as it had a silly phase. And one of the key entries to this section of adventure design was X7, War Rafts of Kron. It was also the one module in the expert line that was retconned all to pieces but didn't get outright erased with another product, unlike two others. The concept of War Rafts was great, but the execution was lacking. It's known for its exotic locales, underwater adventuring, and the power spike from hell in the third act. But is the reputation fair? Time to knock out another remaster. I'm Mr. Welch, and down Periscope. First, of course, is the technical stuff, because people put effort into making this adventure and deserve recognition. Bruce Nesmith is the designer, and he has quite a few titles under his belt, as he was the creative designer at TSR, and Bethesda, before they fell to pieces. So if you want the next Elder Scrolls or Fallout game not to suck, make sure they hire Bruce back. You have been warned. The cover is classic Elmore, and that giant does appear in the adventure. Interior art is credited to Jeff Butler, and Diesel LaForce did the cartography. The adventure came out in '84 for levels 9 through 12, and clocks in at the standard 32 pages. Now for the meat of the adventure, and from here on out, here be spoilers. This was one of the first fully aquatic modules, possibly the first for D&D, and definitely the first for Mystara. Every single major encounter in this adventure is either on a boat or under the ocean. It's tied to Irendi in part, with the Minarthad guilds being the people giving you the adventure. But since the guilds wouldn't come out for another 4 years, they don't appear anything like their official appearance. Irendi is similar, with the goal being to rescue a princess. Still, Irendi's monarchs are in a ceremonial position appointed yearly rather than actual rulers. They don't have princesses. To drive the point home, the princess's name, Corina, does not appear in the module at all. It's only on the back cover. She has no characterization, no lines, and she might as well be just a chest of treasure you're sent to recover. Once you find her, you put her on a ship back home, and she's out of the adventure while you keep going to find the big bad. This module is a railroad, despite it being set on the high seas. That makes a bit of sense as you're on a trail of kidnappers and you are trying to get clues in a specific order. If you want to play this adventure using all the available resources, you need to get a copy of the Creature Crucible Sea Peoples. It's not mandatory to play War Rafts, as it came out after the module, but it fleshes out a lot of the creatures and cultures you're going to be encountering here. Trust me, that's one book that you need to play this properly. Oh, and memorize the rules for underwater combat, because you're going to use them for most encounters. Are we ready to get started? It's too late, you're already on a boat and the mission is underway. Then the entire background of the adventure, including the trip to Minarthad, an entire week of testing to prove you're ready, and the payment negotiations is handled in 6 short paragraphs, keeping with a time-tested method of tell, don't show adventuring. That's not an exaggeration. The module's background is read to you in an as-you-know box set. Roleplay this out. Seriously, this is about as lazy a setup for a module as I've ever seen. Even more than the classic, you've been hired to kill all the rats in the kitchen intro modules. If the party rescues the princess and stops the pirates, they get their own domains in Minarthad. Kind of like how you got rewarded with land in Sid Meier's Pirates when you did a really good job. The last truly epic pirate game ever made. Yes, even better than Assassin's Creed Pirate Simulator. After filling in the characters and explaining why they're there and where they're going and what they're looking for, they're immediately attacked by Tritons riding towboats towed by giant seahorses, casting spells and throwing spears. It's actually pretty epic. Aiding them in this attack are 20 highly trained attack sea termites. I'm not making that up, it's literally in the book. They are there to sink the ship, and the characters will have a hard time stopping them, as this is probably the first time they're dealing with a sea battle. The Tritons are in their natural element. The party's ship does not have a lot of hit points, and there are a lot of sea termites. They can win the fight, but it's not going to be easy. They can surrender, in which case they are allowed to get to the lifeboats. And don't worry, the module has made plans for the party to lose. Because all of a sudden, it's Koom time! That's right, everybody's favorite storm giant in all of D&D is making his debut as soon as the Tritons are gone. Doesn't matter if the ship is sunk, the party escapes, or they are floating in lifeboats. The party's in a pickle. Their boat is heavily damaged, or it's at the bottom of the ocean. But out of nowhere, the KOOMSTER shows up with a smile on his face, and a magical boat willing to help. Got to love you some Deus Ex Machina. If the party attacks him, he leaves, and they're screwed. But you barely survived a fight with a Triton. You're not much of a threat to the gnarliest storm giant alive. He loads everybody up in his undersea boat and lets you all chill at his undersea castle. Once you get to the castle, he offers them all sorts of help because he is one seriously hoopy fruit. He breaks out his stash for the party. In this case, his stash is a magical goldfish that gives the party water breathing and the ability to swim at full speed for a day. He tells the Minarthad captain and crew, don't worry, he's going to Uber them back to Minarthad and not even ask for a tip, because there's some serious swells in Irendi that he's not going to miss. Then he breaks out his map, tells everybody what's going on in the underwater wilderness. and tells them where the kingdom of the Tritons is. Koom doesn't know where Kron is, but he will tell them to pal up with a dolphin because they know the way. He'll even sell them his ride for 10,000 gold pieces, or a magic item of equal or greater value, because the KOOMSTER is a seriously righteous dude and he recognizes the parties as some gnarly bros. And after that, the module gets a lot harder. Everybody heads to Suthus, the city of the Tritons, where they can fight their way in or ask nicely. If they choose violence, they're all going to die because the Tritons are trained to deal with invaders and all of them cast spells. So the characters might just want to play nice, and the Triton King would welcome them as guests. The king will strip the party of any weapons and magic items as reasonable, but denies any involvement in the attacks and returns their gear once their audience ends. That's when the adventure goes all worm-tongue, as not one but two advisors seek their help, claiming the other guy is a spy magically controlling the king. The party can side with either, or neither, but if they guess wrong, they will be arrested and offered for sacrifice if they can't escape. If they choose correctly, their ally will guide them to the castle so they can deal with the evil counterpart. It turns out that a Velia, or underwater vampire, is using the Triton King Lopra to provide him with weekly sacrifices. The king has been charmed to send a victim to the vampire regularly, and he prefers to send surface creatures rather than his own Tritons. The party has to eliminate the Velia's agent, which frees the king, who thanks the party and sends them to find Kron to take care of the evil minions there. Then the king says he will stop the raiding immediately. Unfortunately, there are princesses in another castle, or in this case, War Raft. Kron is a floating city comprised of 14 different rafts of various sizes. These have been lashed together, each serving a different purpose for the town. Kron used to be a peaceful settlement, with the population surviving by fishing and diving down to shipwrecks when they came across them. They weren't a hostile people, happy to trade with Minarthadians and Irindi when the opportunity presented itself. The city is rather sturdy and has never lost a raft in a storm. The population is split on whether this is due to magic or just because they really know how to lash rafts together. The module doesn't give you a population for Kron, but it's at least several dozen people just from the listed NPCs. When the party gets there, they're confronted by catamaran-riding guards who want to know why they're there. If they fight, again, they have to deal with the whole city. But at least Kron isn't underwater with wall-to-wall fish people that cast spells. Still, it's a lot easier if they talk. If the group arrives at the raft city after they get to Suthus, the princess is here. But if they reach Kron first, the princess will be in Suthus. Either way, the king will not free her because he has made an agreement with King Lopra to turn her over. And again, you end up with another worm-tongue incident with advisors blaming each other for the king being an agent of evil. And once again, the party has to deal with the evil advisor to remove the charm from King One-Eye. If a story element works, why not use it twice? Even if it's literally back-to-back chapters. Once the party has freed both charmed kings from their evil advisors, they will learn who is behind the raids, the Velia Hadric. He's been chilling out in his sunken ruins at Koladar and needs to be stopped. The problem is that Velia have a whole host of special abilities, and the only way to kill one permanently is to drag him out of the water. Good luck doing that at the bottom of the ocean. The party must now reduce him to 0 hit points, find his lair, and drive a stake through his heart. And again, good luck with that. Remember, their magic goldfish only last a day, so they're going to have to find other ways to breathe water and survive at the bottom of the ocean. Or else they're going to implode like the Titanic sub when they dive too deep. DMs, you need to ensure the party can finish this adventure with the appropriate magic items, or they're just going to flat out give up once they've rescued the princess. So the good guys swim over to the Lost City with undead to fight a sea vampire on his terms. Have fun. Seriously, the difficulty spike in the third act of this module is ridiculous, with hordes of level drainers throughout the dungeon. There are incredibly lethal traps like darkened caverns filled with oozes on the wall, so if you touch anything, you're going to be attacked. There's a room magically filled with acid that offers no warning about its contents when you swim through that door. And this is all underwater and often indoors. You will have wizards that can't use their best spells, fighters are restricted on the weapons they can use, and you aren't bringing hired help with you on this one. The cleric will get a workout, and a TPK is very possible in the last chapter. The entire romp through Koldahar makes Ravenloft look like a Disney tour. Illumination is a major issue. You can't precisely light a torch, and sunlight doesn't reach this far. They can't take rests to recover hit points because then your magic spells allowing you to breathe will expire. You do find a magic sword devoted to slaying Hadric, though it can't actually kill him, but it does force him back into a crypt in his sunken castle. There's a lot of treasure here, but again you're limited on what you can carry because water-breathing spells don't work very well on donkeys. Let the party learn this when they throw their first mule overboard and just watch it sink. Then watch them get slapped around by the druid for trying something that idiotic in the first place. Now comes the unfun part. Velias take a full 2 levels off when they hit you. Various wraiths and specters also swim around, along with were-sharks, dragon turtles, more than a few golems and living statues, and all sorts of minor undead, and all of them are gunning for the party. You can free up a few captives here and they will aid you in your quest, but don't get too attached to them. This doesn't even count the vampiric charm effect that Velias have. Unless the party gets their hands on the magical sword of Hadric slaying. I'm not joking, the module has a magic sword devoted to just killing the bad guy. It negates a lot of his abilities, but still can't permanently kill him. But it does remove his charm effects as a threat. To make matters worse, Hadric's standard attack is to flow like a water current behind the cleric and attack him with surprise. This module pulls no punches. It reached meat grinder status in the space of one act. That's impressive. That's War Rafts of Kron. This is a disjointed module, to say the least. It has some great ideas, like the raft city that is never mentioned again anywhere. But the third act is absolutely lethal. The party is put in an environment that is hostile to them. They're on the home turf of a very nasty bad guy, and they have very limited healing. So you're going to have to be pillow-fisted, or they're going to hate this module when they are done. But steal from it as much as you want. The adventure might not have been great, but some of the settings were memorable. Plus, you know you want to keep the characters running into the KOOMSTER. He might not fight alongside the party, but everybody will appreciate his radical surfing skills. Next up is one of the most controversial modules, Drums on Fire Mountain, because Samoan orcs didn't age well. But until then, surf's up, dudes!